today we have the tools to make people live longer. It's our job to make sure that they are available to the mass, and our job to make sure that people understand. But to go back on the history of biohacking, 23 years ago, the movement kind of started. And what I don't like about it, to be truly transparent, is the fact that this movement became too cultish.
Amidst all the noise, what biohacking really means.
Let's jump back to what is important. The biggest neglected part of longevity, and even more in biohacking, it's even more present, is
So I am here with Jean Fallacara, and this conversation today is going to be pure gold because Jean has some major important things to teach us, and he's really going to teach us what he has learned over the years. And Jean, you're a practical person who has applied things that you can now talk to because you've been through it. And to me, that's the most exciting thing, because you can't fake it in this body. You are either who you are or you're not. And a lot of people want to fake things to try to make money off the backs of people with some magic pill or potion, which don't exist. And our bodies have the ability to heal themselves constantly. And I would love you to give a quick snapshot of where you are currently in your life. And then if you could take us back just to the beginning of that journey, how you got stimulated to get into this for so many years, and then where your mission is taking us forward from here.
Thank you for having me. It's a great honor for me to be here. It seems to be an epic discussion and a thrilling a topic and subject to discuss. So where I am today in my life, in my journey, I think I'm like I've always felt, at least for the, I would say 7-8 years, past 7-8 years, I'm at the ultimate stage of happiness and balance, utmost state of enlightenment, and every day is a gift. Every minute of my life is a pleasure to live. Everything I do it with a purpose and passion. And I'm just at the stage where I understood a lot of things from probably the mistake I made in the past. But it's a learning process, and you don't know when you make mistakes that you're making mistakes, otherwise you wouldn't make them. So there we go. I've been biohacker for 23 years. What took me there this is a strange story, because I think I've always been a biohacker. I've always had that goal of optimizing things, not for like being better than others, but for being at the best I could. And it started very young when I was a kid. I wanted to know everything. I wanted to know everything in this world. And my dream was like to have the knowledge of everything on everything, anything. And so I spent time on reading and learning. But I didn't go very well with the scholar system because I was bored too often. So I studied mainly by myself and improving. So when I started my journey as a biohacker, was more like to improve my brain capabilities and capacities. And I was obsessed, really obsessed, by the power of neuroplasticity, how our brain can rewire to make it better, learn new pattern. And when you have those patterns and transpose them on the top-down system, biological system, you know that improving your brain improves your capacity in terms of physical capacity. And I started to do sport in a way that not many people do sport, except when they're young, and I was not that young. But I started to do calisthenics, kind of gymnastic from the street. And I was so good at it that people called me a cyborg because I was progressing so fast. But it was funny because I was just using gadgets and tools to optimize my neuroplasticity and my flow state. So I was really focused on everything I was doing, and I saw that it was working. So from there, I kept going and optimizing myself and then tracking everything I was doing. When I started, AI didn't exist. So I was doing graphs and table sheet on Excel and compiling in things because I like maths. And I was seeing progress, and I was looking at my body changing, my mind changing, becoming more accurate on stuff and less dumb. The problem we have as guys, like women are way more clever than us because they use mainly most part of their brain. But us as guys, we use only 2 or 3 lobes in our brain. And sometimes we can be on the amygdala or the reptilian brain more often than others. So with that optimization, I kind of mastered my self-control. And today honestly, I can say that not only I control my mind, but I control every single muscle and nerves that are in my body. I don't wear any trackers anymore because I know my blood pressure by just feeling it. I know my heartbeat by feeling the heartbeats. I know if I'm triggering some cortisol or not, even on small doses. That proprioception got mastered after years and years of trials and errors. And this is it. So, but to go back on the history of biohacking, 23 years ago, the movement kind of started. And what I don't like about it, to be truly transparent, is the fact that this movement became too cultish, dedicated to an elite people with money spending 6 figures on themselves egocentrically and not even sharing what they were doing, but they were just showing off what they were doing. And that's the opposite of who I am. Not that I'm not a show off. I can be a show off in certain things. Like when I go to a gym, I can be a show off. But I mean, if you pay attention to our society today, everybody has the right to live longer and better. Everybody has the right to access knowledge and education, and we don't do much for that. And here I am. I'm a dreamer, and I'd like to change that. I'd like to see the upcoming generation really educated on what is longevity, what is biohacking, what is health optimization, how your body works, that you're not born with 100% of genes that control your life. It's only 40%, 60%. You can change it by controlling your environment and what you eat and drink and sleep and walk and exercise. And it's all about education. Some people are just like not informed enough that it's possible. But here we are. We're changing this world, and slowly but surely we're getting there and opening the movement instead of being a cult. I'm dreaming about everybody becoming a lifespanner, not a biohacker. I came with this word, lifespanning, because biohacking for me was like too much computer related. And I think that lifespan is a mix of health span and lifespan, like changing your trajectory to make sure that if you live long enough, you're going to have the vitality to live long enough and not like fall into the pit of being sick and not mobile and not like many people today. They die at 80, but they start dying at 60.
Yeah, that's about it. And one of the first things you mentioned, which I really love, is you talked about, where are we at right here, right now, today, literally on this call is the most important place that we have to know where we are. And the reality that's broken free to us now is that we have the ability, the tools, the knowledge, and the nutrients to be able to get our body healthy and our being in health, in better health every single day, just a little bit, every single day in every category, because a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Right. And we might be super healthy in all these areas, but one link is getting weak. If that link breaks, you actually die physically. And we see this all the time. And people who want people to follow them, why? I don't even like the term followers, even though that's what it is on Instagram.
Yeah.
But I want people to follow what is true for them, what they're able to grasp. And it's our job to relay the information simply enough to be able to get them out of the cult mentality, out of the guru thing, stay away from experts, because experts know what happened in the past.
Yeah.
But to become their own, basically the steward of their bodies, their minds, their beings, and taking responsibility for every part of our existence, because we're given our bodies and we could lose our bodies, which then terminates this particular journey in this time realm.
Yeah.
And again, that can happen to any of us. I don't claim to be invincible. I can get run over by a truck and thrown under the bus just like anybody else. but the likelihood of that's very, very low. And so we are responsible to get a little bit healthier every day in the future. The other thing I really like what you said is lifespan, because longevity to me and or biohacking are weird. Longevity is something that you have right now, not later. But everybody thinks longevity is way down the road. But then they see people at 100 years old and they're terrible. And then they die right away if they've even lived that long. And nobody wants that. You want to have higher and higher quality of life every time you get older, because the older you get, the better you get. Like, take a look at your life right now. Let me ask you this question. How much more valuable are you right today than you were 10 years ago? How much wiser are you?
Oh, yeah.
How much more can you definitively share with people that is far more valuable than it was 10 years ago?
Yeah, well, that's this is the dilemma of our lives. But the beauty of it, at the same time, is the beauty of getting older. You get more knowledge accumulated. You have more wisdom. You know yourself better, and you know your choices better, because when you're young, you make hectic decision that can compromise your future. Of course, you can rebound, but when you get older, you master those things. So you can be silent more often than when you're younger. However, on 2 points, you said you're smarter. Today's science says that when you get older, you're not smarter because your IQ decreases. And then better, unfortunately, we lose some capacity, like the fast twitch muscle, what we call the time of reaction in your brain increases as well. So you get slower in terms of like fast messaging between neurons. But at the end of the day, the goal of the longevity is doing what you're doing, is looking at our biological age. And this is what it counts. This is what really counts. Like, I don't care you're 75, 85, 90, 60, 40. What I do care is, okay, how's your body? How's the inside of your body? What is the age of your internal clock, your biological age, what it is? If you tell me you're 30 and I take your biological age and I find out that you're 60, you are not doing well. You have to correct that. If you're 60 and your biological age is down 30, I respect that, because you've been doing the right thing. You've been implementing the right protocol in your life that made you improve your biology to make sure that, as we said before, our body is designed to live to 120, 130. In America, we live to 78 for guys, 82 for women. Not because women are making guys nervous, but just because it's the way it is today. We are poisoning ourselves with our environment, our food, our nutrients, our water, our houses, the toxicity of not being social in the right way, having no purpose, having no passion, working 8 hours a day where our brain is made to work in cycle of 90 minutes, all these things that need to be changed, because we are human. And as humans, we need to adapt it to the root of what we were designed for, back to the 130 years that we are designed to live for, making sure that we can do it now, because we have the capacity, we have the technologies, we have the tools to do it. If you were telling me, if I was saying this like 100 years ago, the medical system was not the same, so it could be a bit different. The mastering science and food and digestion and components and things that we were saying like 50 years ago, you cannot take more than 20 grams of protein at the time. Today we say you can take hundreds if you want. We were saying like, oh, you need to sleep 5 hours. Today we say you need to sleep 7, 9 hours. So like you said, gurus, science, I'm a scientist, but everything changes. But we have the tools to make people live longer. It's our job to make sure that they are available to the mass, and our job to make sure that people understand how to use them And the biggest challenge, the biggest mission we have is first to make sure that people understand that 90% of this longevity is actually based on foundation that are purely natural, not even technical, not even medical, natural. Sunlight, sleep, water, exercise, these things that we just forget because we, North American people, love to have a magic pill that make us live longer. That's why resveratrol, rapamycin, spermidine, and all these molecules are making a big hit on the market because everybody is jumping on that and saying, oh, that is going to make me live longer. But they don't go outside. They wake up, they go straight to their desk and they sit for 9 hours, but they're still taking rapamycin. And then at night, they're going to be drunk, drinking wine or whiskey and partying and going to bed at 12, 1 a.m., not having the right sleep. But they still think that rapamycin or other molecules will make them live longer. This is our job. We need to educate those people.
Yeah, it comes back to a psychological impact. And, you know, and you're talking about biological health, which is essential to have. And the other essential, as you know, and you've proven, is that you have to have very, very powerful, agile, structural health, where all your bones are strong, your connective tissue, your fascia, you know, all your muscles, your joints, everything has to be working extremely well. And there are tools around that to make sure, because if you're not mobile, agile, flexible, right, and with endurance and stamina, then you really haven't got a chance to have a high quality life.
Right.
And people don't skip, for example, after they're 20 or after they're 18, but yet you can skip anytime you want, any time of the day you like, with an invisible skipping rope for a minute and a half at a time in your breaks in between your 90-minute work sessions, and get that lymphatic moving, get movement going, get that proprioception that you talked about, you know, where your vagus nerve is really connected strongly to your brain. And one of the things that I was amazed at, and I know you are as well, we run into all these very advanced people. I mean, there are people who are at the top of their game when it comes to cardiovascular or maybe respiratory or gut health or whatever it is, endocrine system, autonomic nervous system. There's like 15 different systems that work in synchronicity. And I would meet these people because I made a request 20 years ago when I was going to die with a big tumor, heart disease at 46 years old, and a liver that wasn't working. I didn't know that at the time. But I knew that the doctors couldn't help me. And so I asked to be led. I asked out loud. I said, if you will allow me to be led to these people, because I can't find them. There's no way. How do you find that needle in a haystack? I didn't have time. And if I could be led to the people who have the top information, and also if I could have the eyes to see them when I meet them, because a lot of times it goes right over your head.
Yeah.
You don't even know who you're talking to, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And if I could see them, I will do whatever it takes to get a healthy body and to achieve a goal of perfect health. Whether I achieve the perfect health or not, as we talked about earlier, is one thing. But achieving, like going towards that achievement, is the right track. And I was very fortunate to, within a short enough time, to meet one or two people who told me enough about how to get rid of the tumor. That took 7 years. How to get rid of the heart disease. That took 5.5 years. And then my liver, that took about 5 years. But it was just methodical. One step at a time, like climbing a ladder. Okay, now here's the first rung. This is what you do in the first rung. You can't go to the third rung yet.
Yeah.
Right. And then, so now over the last 20 years, I was given the grace to curate master keys that I never came up with. I didn't come up with any of them. I simply met people who had a master key that removed that entire problem in that body system. Then I realized that just deleted a whole 1,000 keys that you would have for remedies you don't need anymore. And then I would see these people die. These master key holders would pass away. I'm like, whoa, did that guy just die? Did that woman just pass? One was 70, one was 58, one was 82. That didn't make sense. So I knew we were missing something. And so you're a mathematician, right?
Yeah, I'm jack of all trades. I studied biotech from a bachelor, then I have a master in immunology and genetics, another one. I'm an engineer in biotech, and I even studied artificial intelligence and virtual reality.
Very cool. And I'm totally into analytics, statistics.
Yeah, I love
mathematics.
statistics. Statistics and mathematics explains everything.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
So when I saw them die, I went, what are we all missing? What am I missing? What are they all missing? There's got to be something. And so I just thought, well, let's just get really simple first. Your body has two chunks of meat inside your chest called your lungs.
Mm-hmm.
The surface area of your alveoli is 100 square miles. That's how big it is when they measured it.
Yep.
Your body breathes 11,000 liters of air per day, every day. Between the age of 20 and 60, you're going to breathe 160 million liters of air. All of that air...
Put it in perspective, what it is.
Yeah, right. All of that air has billions of nanoparticles from tire dust and brake dust and all this stuff that's in the air. You can't see it, taste it, or smell it. It's real. There's no rubber on the road, and there's 10 billion pounds in the US alone that releases. And then your heart pumps 7,200 liters of blood per day, but you only have 5 liters of blood. So you got this super efficient system that breathes all this nanoparticle garbage in, called particulate matter, and it distributes to every cell every 60 seconds because you pump your entire blood system every 60 seconds. So, well, that's the problem. That's the biggest problem. Of course, there's other problems. But there's a biggest one. So how do we deal with that? How do we get this accumulation of this stuff out? Because people are replacing their hips and their knees because they're wearing out from all the abrasives of what they breathed in. And so movement and all that stuff. So it became a mathematical certainty that we have to deal with that. There's no way we're going to live past the life expectation without dealing with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree on that. And on the other side, you have to be mindful and conscious about these things, but being over alarmed can be counterproductive as well.
Yes, anxiety.
Anxiety. I was going there. Anxiety creates so much inflammation in the body that if you start to freak out about everything that is around you, it's like I've been an extreme biohacker until the time I realized that it was not the way. I was spending too much time to extend my life. Like 60% of my time was to extend my life for 20%. And mathematically speaking, that doesn't work either.
Right.
So creating inflammation because I didn't do this and didn't walk 10,000 steps that day or didn't drink 2 liters of water, whatsoever. So you have to be mindful. You have to be conscious about our environment, and the explanation you gave is outstanding. It makes people realize that we are contaminating ourselves, and we want it or we don't want it. It's matter of fact, a fact. It's happening. So, like you said, what do you do after that to compensate or to correct?
Yeah, the beautiful thing is, you just want to be aware of it, but then you want to find out exactly how to get that stuff out.
Right.
And it's actually very simple. Your body is a blood production facility. You're going to produce new blood every single day of your life. And the older you become, your bone marrow converts from red to yellow in percentages every decade.
Yeah.
And that yellow bone marrow is not very efficient at producing anything. It doesn't produce stem cells properly, but you still have enough red bone marrow to produce enough blood. And all you do is you amp up the amount of blood your body produces on a daily basis so that you're no longer relying only on your liver and your kidneys to filter it out. Now you're producing a whole bunch of clean blood, more than normal, a lot more than normal, by consuming certain elements. It has to do with hydration, with amino acids and essential fatty acids. That's the raw material your body absolutely demands to be able to produce more blood. When you do that, then your body intelligence goes, hey, I got a lot more blood right now.
I have the sources.
Now I can get rid of dirty blood out the bowels, which it does. And all of a sudden, your body within a few months has only clean blood going through it. Now your lymphatic system goes, hey, I couldn't dump into that dirty river because it was too full. Can I dump in there now? The body says, absolutely. And your lymphatic dumps all this garbage into the blood. Then it continues to clean itself out. And it took me a full year at the age of 64 years old to be able to get my body completely cleaned out My cardiovascular system went from hardened arteries from all that nanoparticle stuff, which is all metals and
Yeah.
ceramics and all that crap. And it cleaned out the muscle walls of my arteries, veins, and capillaries and became supple like a young person in 1 year. It completely changed me. I was like,
Naturally.
yeah. And because I had so much more blood production,
Yeah.
my blood pressure went way up for about 4 months. But that didn't bother me because I kept
Okay.
doing the same thing. And eventually my blood pressure came down to normal, what they call normal. I don't know what real normal is. I think normal is what your body wants. And I was like, well, okay, what happened? I had hardened arteries. Now they're soft and supple. Now my blood pressure went to normal because I can have all the more blood I want now. Everything's elastic and supple and able to just peristaltically move things through. I'm not hardened anymore. It was like a miracle. And so I thought, well, people have got to find out about this. This is a massive upgrade. And it's not biohacking. The one thing I didn't like about the term biohacker, because I started hearing that in 2012. That was way after when you were into it. And Dave Asprey was the one who really started to coin the phrase.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And I thought, well, hold it. There's something wrong with that term, even though I understand what they're going at. They're saying there's a hack where you can take a shortcut to get something done faster rather than the long, drawn out thing. So I respected that. But I thought if I was going to have a new kitchen installed in my house and the guy walked in and says, I'm a kitchen hacker. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? I don't want a hack. I want a professional. Right?
I love it.
I want a kitchen spanner.
I love it. Yeah, that's a very cool. I'm gonna use that. I love that concept. Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, you cannot cure biology. That's like a nonsense, completely nonsense. There is no way you can hack our biology, and you can improve, you can modify the things, but our biology, it's by definition biology. It's not a computer. So this is it. I understand where it's coming from, biohacking, like it's from the tech industry, and okay. But still today, you go in the street and you ask some people, especially people over 40, 45, what is biohacking? And people are just like, well, you know what? I don't know, but by definition, it's some things that you're hacking hospital system to get their data or some things like that. So even the definition of biohacking make no big sense. But it is what it is. The trend is there. The Brian Johnson helped the word to become more popular. Is consider himself as a biohacker. So I'm okay. It's wording, and after all, look at the situation in our world. There is wars, and people are killed because they don't understand each other. So we're not going to fight about one word.
Right, that's right. And I respect Brian Johnson's work. I understand that he is, plowing millions of dollars into that as a personal guinea pig. But I noticed that he had a really strange subtitle, which is "Do Not Die."
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, that is messed up.
Yeah.
It's so negative. Do not die. How about keep on keeping on or keep on living? How about that one?
When I met him, actually, that was the first question I asked him. And I go like, well, your t-shirt is bizarre. Why you didn't put just live?
Right.
Instead of don't die. And he goes like, you don't understand the concept of it. And well, you know what? I have to admit something. He was right, because after that, and first of all, that the t-shirt "Don't Die" was not even his trademark at the beginning. That t-shirt was made by Radfest people back in the 90s.
Wow.
They were the first bearing "Don't Die." So the radical life extensionist people. But to go back to Brian Johnson, the interesting fact was like, yes, when I saw "Don't Die," I didn't understand why you put a so negative message on it. And then I went to his book, "Don't Die." And then I spoke to him. He came to my podcast. We had several times, we had discussion and talk. And I understand that he considers himself as the new explorer of not the world, but the new explorer of some things that has not been done before, exploring the body, which is more than honorable. Like, we have been exploring continents, oceans, space, but no one has paid attention enough to our organs, our body, how it works. And what you said about the blood and the bone marrow, it's actually part of that.
This is a big part for sure.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I've seen people, you know MLM companies, right? I would go to these different seminars because people were trying to recruit me. And the guy at the front of the room was, very high up in the organization. And if it was a new thing that they were coming out, they would say something like this, this is such a great product. I just can't see how this won't work. I'm like, what did you just say? I just can't see how this won't work.
Wouldn't work. You have to think twice to make sure you understand it right. Yeah.
And everybody subliminally goes, I can't see and it won't work. That's what they get.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Messaging. Communication. Well, that's the thing.
Well, so how you speak to yourself is going to limit how much you speak to others. So if I speak very well of myself, I'll speak very well of you. If I'm looking for all the positive attributes internally, I'm going to look for the positive attributes in you. If I'm speaking crap on myself and putting myself down and lowering my self-esteem, I'm going to do the same thing to you. I may not do it to your face, but I'll do it behind your back. Because it's kind of like I'm doing it behind my own back. And then that comes down to the other question. I see people doing all these things that are harmful to their body, drinking alcohol, doing all kinds of terrible food. And it seems to me that they don't love themselves. But actually, that's not true. They actually love themselves infinitely. They just don't know it yet. And they're going to find out when they start losing their bodies, they're going to go, hold it, whoa, what do I do? What do I need to do? They actually really love themselves.
So
and
it's
it looks like
it's a societal process. Yeah.
Societal conditioning.
Yeah.
Everybody is abusing themselves all the time. And so you, Jean, are the asset. You are the asset. You as a being, that spirit being, you are a soul. And your body is your number one asset above everything you've ever accumulated in your life. Your body is the number one asset. It is infinitely more valuable than anything you've accumulated with the companies you built, the assets you've achieved, the investments you have, right? And those are valuable.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, remove all the material belongings that are around you, or remove all your possession, and ask yourself, how do you feel? How do you feel now in this moment? Take the time to just ask yourself that question. How do I feel? Many people pass an entire life never asking that question. It comes from your mind. I don't care about your wallet. I don't care about your car. I don't care about your money, bank account, whatsoever. The funny story is, like, every time I ask someone, who are you? And most people, oh, I'm a product manager. Oh, I'm a CEO. Oh, I'm a broker. No. I just ask you a simple question. Who are you? Who are you as a person? Most of them fail to answer that question. That's the basis of finding yourself, then loving yourself. It's another step. You have to appreciate what you've done, what you're doing, living in a present moment for sure. But I mean, you have to accept also that maybe perfection doesn't exist. So you're not perfect, but you can improve. And improvement is the biggest challenge, is the training part of living, is what makes us feel alive. So let's jump back to what is important. The biggest neglected part of longevity, and even more in biohacking, it's even more present, is the psychological aspect of people. The mindset, the mental health has been completely neglected in the whole process of that chase of living longer. And it's the reverse that should be happening now. It's like, start by paying attention to your mental health. Are you happy? How do you feel? Again, I repeat that question. How do I feel now? Answer that question. If you find any ways that need to be improved, this is where it starts. This is where your journey is going to begin, and it will never stop. Because, like you said before, it took you 5 years, took you 6 years. It's not an easy job. to get there, to get to the point you want to be. And even when you're going to reach that point, equilibrium, it's impossible. That balance, it's something that is on one side or the other. So you're still going to be jungling from one side to the other. But this is the beauty of living. Again, a perfect line doesn't exist in this world. There is no line. If you look on a microscopic way, it's all around the place. It's not straight. And life is like that. And life improvement is the same. What I do regret most of the time is, when I started my journey, I didn't start because I got sick or because I had an issue. I started it because I wanted to have some things better for the body I live in and I love, without being egocentric or like narcissistic, but to make it better, to make it perfect. Of course, it's impossible, but that was my chase. That was my challenge, my goal. And we go back to what we said before. Most people, they get an alarm and they wake up. So the societal behavior they have by eating bad food or drinking Coke and alcohol and things like that, maybe it is suicidal. But the day they hit the wall and they wake up, some don't wake up and some do wake up. And it's a pity that it has to go to that extreme to make people understand that life is precious and our body is even more precious. So that's why I truly, but deeply would like to see the upcoming generation knowing what we're talking about, being aware about that. Our parents have done a poor job educating us. They've done a really bad job telling us that the most important thing is your career, is making money, is having a bigger car than your neighbor that you ate and you don't even know, but you want that better. And this is how our society has been built up. So, boo, I respect my parents, but all parents have been on the same pattern. And it's our role. Now we have kids. Unfortunately, it's a bit too late for us. We're just a small group of people understanding that. So it's maybe too late for us, but it's not too late for the upcoming generation. And I dream that my kid will teach their kid these things that are so precious. And then 3, 4, 5, 6 generations from now, it's going to be a better world. That's it. That's all. We have started. We made the ignition of this conscience of longevity. We can't stop now. We need to change things. We need to make people aware. We need to educate. And, some people dream about changing the world. Unfortunately, you can't change the world except if you drop an atomic bomb on a few countries. But I mean, you can't change the world during your living time, but you can definitely prime it and start it, put the ignition. And this is what we're doing. This is it. Put the ego on the side, and who cares about, I've said once, I don't care about creating a legacy, and I repeat, I don't care about creating a legacy. It's BS, completely BS. I don't, forget my name, forget who I am, forget even the word lifespanning, but remember what it is and what the roots are. And then my life will be mainly accomplished. My goal on this planet is that.
Well, your life is fulfilled. And people talk about a bucket list. I don't have a bucket list because I don't have a bucket, because you kick the bucket, right? It's legacy is, it's cool. And so what I always do now is when people are really sincere about doing something for themselves and their body health, I say, okay, there's 3 questions that you're going to ask yourself. You're not going to answer to me. You're answering to yourself. You cannot answer with words. You can only answer with actions. And here's the 3 questions. How much do I care about keeping my body alive? Number 1. Number 2, how much do I care about getting a little bit healthier in every single category of my being every day? And number 3, how much am I willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish that? Because I might be passionate about it, But if I fall down and break my face open on the sidewalk when I'm doing something, I'm not going to be so passionate about that at that point. But if I'm determined, that's totally different. Determination is way better and goes even higher above passion, even though we're very passionate people.
Yeah, resilience.
You can't rely on passion. It's like,
No.
we've set a goal. We are determined. And I have a question for you. Who are you?
I'm the result of everything I've lived until today. Like, you stack supplement to get better. I stacked experiences to be who I am today. And I'm super proud. I love myself. I love every aspect of who I am. And I'm a person that is passionate about art, music, sports, technology, artificial intelligence, computer, math, name it, everything, but mainly humans and living. This is who I am. As simple as that. Put a definition on that. The definition should be, that's it. Yeah.
Right? That's right. It was a fabulous answer. It was very broad spectrum and it covered all the bases. And it's one of those things where we get real about ourselves. We do introspective work, and it's not selfish to love your body. It's essential. It's selfish to have a bucket list. Very selfish, right? It's selfish to try to accumulate wealth for the sake of accumulating wealth, because true wealth is where we have the ability to produce value for others on an exponential curve to infinity. And our worth is only how many people we improve their lives, because we are actually servants. And the lower position that I can find as a servant, the greater impact I can have to support other people to become servants to those around them. Because we're here to serve each other. We're not here to serve ourselves. We're here to serve each other. And when we do that, we surround ourselves with people who serve others all the time. And that automatically generates that energy, that exchange of energy between all of us. So that we're not trying to get all the master keys and keep them to ourselves so we can ascend above everybody else. We share everything so everyone can ascend as much as possible in their lifetime to become more and more fulfilled by producing value for others and sharing all the secrets. Because once you share a secret, it's no more a secret.
Yeah, what's the purpose of accumulating knowledge if it's not to share it and to inform others? Like, you know what? I don't have TV, so I don't watch TV, and I haven't watched TV for years, decade. Since I'm a kid, I'm spending time reading science, only science and nonfiction books. Like, for me, a book has to bring me something. So I've accumulated so much knowledge on so many aspects of my life that today I'm pretty sure of some things. I know nothing. That's the problem. But the little things I know, if I spend that much time learning, I have to share it, because it's not going to stuck in my brain and just like, okay, I know everything. And so what? If you don't share it, if you don't give it back to others, what is the purpose of knowledge? What is the purpose of knowing all these things and knowing that this molecule or these things will do that in your body? Share it. You're going to improve lives of others. And this is it. This is what I'm trying to do. I have this capacity of accumulating a lot of information. So I need to use it to get it back to the public, to the people, to help people to live longer. Point.
Right. That's right. And where the best place to share is in conversations like this.
Sure.
And good conversations, they resonate in your mind for days and weeks later when you have a really good conversation.
Right.
And it does the same for the person listening to this podcast, because it gets them thinking at a much higher level, because they can. And the only way that you could help me ascend in my thinking is when you are already there. You've already lived it. You are a manifestation of being well-read, for example. You're well-read because you've read a lot of information. You become extremely literate in your subject matter. And you're tapping into the most important subject matter that there is in this lifetime. And then you share that out and you get more definitive. there's a thing I learned about in electronics. A friend of mine who is a biomedical engineer in Raleigh, North Carolina, his name is Bob Dennis. He's a tenured professor at the university there. And he was given a side project from NASA many, many years ago, where they asked him to develop the technology around a pulse electromagnetic device that you could wear so it could be portable. And the first iteration was the size of, like 9 inches by 12 inches with a 12-volt car battery.
That's pretty
It's like not too powerful. And so over a 15-year period, I met him in 2012 and he had basically finalized it. And he's improved it since, but you can only get so much more improvement. He had to wait for the components to get smaller, to get more powerful. The circuit board would become smaller and smaller. And then he found out that you have to clean up the signal to noise ratio because there's a lot of noise around the signal that took a lot of power to run. It still gave a signal, but it wasn't clean. And so he kept iterating and iterating and iterating until he had something the size of half of a deck of cards with a 9-volt battery with these 2 little coils that run at 200 Gauss for 36 hours at full strength, nonstop, before the battery runs out. He goes, that is a clean signal to noise ratio. So your messaging, what you've been doing for the last 23 years, is taking all of that knowledge you're gaining. The more you learn, the more you realize there is to know.
Yeah.
Right. And it seems like, whoa, it's like a never-ending adventure.
Yeah.
But you cleaned up the signal to noise ratio, so you're hitting the most important things out of the gate to make sure the foundation that people are standing on for their health constitution is solid. Because if you try to build a body on top of that, in that infrastructure that's got cracks and gaps, you're going to fail.
Yep.
So our job is to simply share the things that we've been refining. Just like I went and I curated all these master keys that I can't take credit for any of them. The only thing I knew is, let's see, do they fit together? Sure enough, they all fit together to perfection.
It comes down to intelligence then, because intelligence is the ability to connect dots, and this is it. You can, there is sorry for interrupting you, but there is so many people that have accumulated knowledge and they are not capable of putting them in perspective when it's appropriate because they're missing that intelligence part. That is the ability of connecting those dots and saying, oh, this is there and that and this, and it gives this. So it's the beauty of that. And fortunately, it demonstrates that if you have the ability to play with those keys, like you've said, it's because you are intelligent, point.
Right. The intelligence is given to us. We already have our innate intelligence, but there's a quantum level of perfect intelligence all around us. But people cannot tap into it at all,
right?
Because they're blocked by social conditioning, by being dumbed down. Even though they're highly intelligent, they get dumbed down from realizing that even exists.
Yeah, true.
Right. So it's just tapping into those things, and then getting it clean. Like if I handed you the finalized pulse electromagnetic frequency device that runs at 200 Gauss for 36 hours with a 9-volt battery, you don't have to go through the iterations of trying to figure all that out. Right. So our information is at that level right now, and it's only going to get even better as time goes on. More definitive, simpler.
I like the comparison. That's a great example.
Yeah. And when you do geometry, one of the things that struck me one night, I thought, if you have a car on a flat road and it's 10 miles long, you're going to drive that car down the road. It's going to be exactly the same height level as it was where it started. If you just have 1 degree down, it's so little that you can't even see it with the naked eye. You can put the car in neutral, it won't even run because there's too much friction on the tires. Or you could go 1 degree up. It's the same thing. It won't run. It won't move. You can't see it. But if you do the math, you drive 10 miles down the road, 1 degree up versus 1 degree down, people think, oh, that must be like 2 or 3 feet. No. 875-foot difference, the size of a skyscraper. That's really tall.
Yeah, that is very tall. Yeah.
Right. So 10 years down the road of just adjusting from 1 degree down to 1 degree up makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're that much healthier in 10 years. Then if you keep on that trajectory at 20 miles, it's even way more because it's exponential. Mm-hmm. And then if you do a curve even higher, like right now, you're exponentially more valuable than you were 10 years ago. Exponentially.
Yeah.
And in 10 years from now, you're going to be that much more valuable because it's going to be that much clearer. So every 10 years you live, you're going to get more valuable. We are destined to be here for our grandchildren, our great-great-grandchildren, our great-great-great-grand. But people go, oh, yeah, right. No, it's true.
No, it is true.
Because we're not worried about it anymore. We're just getting better all the time. And we're here for each other. And we really do need, if you go back in original scriptures, people were living up to 960 years.
Yeah, you know what? That's what I was reading recently, and still, like, the proof of that is kind of shady.
Well, it is in the sense, but because it was recorded and the world was so different with this magnetic energy and its clarity of the air, didn't have the pollution, it was super technically advanced, far more advanced than we were. There's been multiple resets over the generations of people who purposely deleted all the technology, put people back in horse and buggies on mud streets in front of buildings that you could not build by hand, right? It's like, okay, there's something going on in this world we live in. Where are we actually?
Yeah.
You know, North America has been around for thousands of years. It's not the new country.
No.
It just got buried.
Yeah, we are new.
We are very new. So how old are you right now?
57.
Oh, you're absolutely doing fabulous.
Thank you.
You know, yeah, because this is a life journey for you. With me, my life journey was totally dumbed down, totally, conditioned socially. At 46, I was going to die. And that just didn't make sense. And one of the things that really struck me when I had 36 months left to live based upon medical prognosis, which I didn't really care about, is that when I was in grade 1, where I was 6 years old, it was about the middle of the year, and we had this short little Japanese teacher, and we only had just the one classroom all day. She taught all the subjects. And in grade 1, she wrote on the chalkboard, the word statistics. That's a pretty big word for a grade 1, right?
Yeah.
And she goes, can you pronounce that? And she made us all be able to pronounce it. And she goes, now I'm going to tell you an example of how this works. Now, there's 31 children in the classroom today. This is in Hamilton, Ontario. And she said, statistically, one of you in the classroom will live till your 30s. So many would live into your 40s, so many in 50s, so many, and so on. And she says, there is one person in the classroom that's going to live till 100 at least. And I wasn't thinking anything about myself at all. I was just listening to her, learning. I was really excited to learn this word. And this little kid to my left of me, a little Italian kid named Marty, he immediately looked over when she said that. He looked at me and he goes, you're the one who's going to live till 100. And I looked at him. I looked at him. And then Kimberly on my right side, she goes, Marty, you're right. Ian's the one who's going to live till 100. And I was like, what?
What?
That was so weird, right? and it was like, okay, maybe it is.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean much when you are that age. Like, if you tell people you're going to live 200, then you're a kid. It's just like, oh, yeah, okay, yes, why not? Like, longevity for if you're not 50, it has not much meaning in general.
Right, that's right. And it's again, the whole process. If you are going to live a long time, way past 100, you're going to have the knowledge. You're going to have to be given the grace to get the tools and also the ability to have the determination to implement them in the face of many people mocking that. But that's okay. That's just them. It's on them. It's not me.
Yeah. That's okay. You cannot please everybody. That's the way our world is. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And so my grandmother on my mom's side, she lived till almost 103. It was one month shy of her 103rd birthday. And she was very, very clear her whole life. She fell down, didn't break anything, but she bruised her hip. And they gave her morphine and she died within 2 days from the morphine. She'd never had morphine in her life.
Oh.
And then my mom lived till 4 months shy of her 100th birthday in 2022. And her brothers on my mom's side died at 51 and 54, both of cancer. Both were diagnosed in 1978. They both died exactly on time, according to what the doctor said. They followed the exact instructions of their doctor.
Statistics.
Right? And so when it was my turn suddenly at 46, I was like, hold it. I asked the doctors, they could never tell me why I had what I had. They just wanted to offer me the same treatment my uncles had. And I phoned my brother in North Bay, Ontario, who was a medical doctor for 30 years. And I asked him, I said, what's going on? I got all this stuff going on. He goes, oh yeah, you just got to, it's all genetics. It's just the hand of cards you're dealt.
They used to say that, yeah.
But yeah, so it's a matter of you doing critical thinking, you taking responsibility for your health,
Right.
learning that you actually do love yourself very, very much. You do care about yourself. And it's just a matter of being open to waking up to that. You woke up to it years ago. I woke up to it 20 years ago because I found out that I wasn't caring, but I really did.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's the messaging. And then the data around this that's all validated with human experience of having the physical body continuously improve. Like I'm healthier today than I was ever been in my entire life.
Yeah, you
Which
said
blows
that
my mind.
when we, the first sentence, like you just getting started. I agree on that. It's a funny thing because like you said, markers, and today we can measure, we can track where we stand. My pace of aging is 0.5 and 28 on biological side. My goal is to stay there, not to increase it. And this is it. Like we should, and I'm not spending $2 million a year. Come on.
Yeah. So it's using the least amount of time, least amount of energy, least amount of effort, least amount of money to get the maximum return on your health investment.
Yeah,
That's what it's at right now.
yeah, and you know what? Yeah, one of the things that I've learned most recently is actually the best factor for longevity is the ability to spend time with yourself. And so many people are not capable of doing that. They have to check their phone or open the TV or listen to music or read or whatsoever. But I mean, like, what changed my life in the past 5 years was really this ability of being almost like a monk, spending so much time with myself, trying to understand who I am really, where I'm coming from, and where am I going. And if you do that, if you implement that on a regular basis and you do that every day, I think that all the rest, whatever the supplement, the nutrition, the lifestyle you have, if you do that, you gain years of life. It's kind of magical.
It's miraculous.
Yeah, it is. Honestly, I think it's your brain is just in a pace that maybe it's not used to, and it helps the whole body to reduce the inflammation. But there is some things that needs to be explained, and I have the intention to really push that into studies and see how it goes with multiple people under controlled data and setup to see if I'm right on this concept or not.
Right. And it comes back to every single system. So on November the 1st, 2017, I was shown a master key. I didn't know it was a master key yet, but that was the first time I actually realized. It took me a while to figure it out that it was a master key. But I was shown this thing that had been discovered thousands of years ago. And a gentleman had gone and put a backpack on and went around the backwoods of China in these small towns. He had tons of money. He could have flown and driven, but he didn't. He was told to walk. And he was looking for two things. And they had to match a certain criteria. It had to heal everything at once, couldn't cost money, didn't require talent. You could learn how to do it very easily yourself. And that was a very tall order. It took him 3 years, and he just went through all the iterations of all the things that are natural healing. Most of them are very too complicated. They had to have practitioners. And he came back with two things. And I watched this short video, and I knew in my gut that he was telling the truth. It was shocking to me, the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
And I thought, could this be true? Well, the only way I can find out if it's true, I'll do it. I committed, I'll do whatever it takes if I'm shown something. And so I did all my organs. That took only about a week. And it's physical things that you do to your body. It's very physical. Doesn't require exercise, but it's a physical treatment. And then I have a very broken body at the time, not any longer. But my body was injured significantly because I worked in the oil field for 17 years.
Oh.
And I had a blunt trauma injury on my left knee when an 800-pound firewall fell on top of me and caught my knee in the ice. So it didn't crush the knee completely to destroy it. It would have. But because the ice cushioned it, but it super damaged my knee by hitting it on the outside of the seam on the center of the joint. And it tore the whole inside out. Never broke anything. But it took a couple of months to be able to walk and run. They had to get me out of there. I was up in northern BC on a rig. It was on the graveyard shift. And Anyway, from then on, from 21 years old, for 39 years, I could not snow ski or water ski or do any sport that would twist my knee.
Yeah.
I couldn't even walk down a set of staircases incorrectly and twist my left knee, or it would blow up like a basketball for a week and really hurt. And the arthritic pain came in more and more, so much so that if I was sitting in a stadium with my knee bent, or I couldn't put my leg out in the seat in front of me because somebody was there, I could only hack 20 minutes and I would have to leave. The pain was that level. Wow. And I did 5-minute treatments, 8 different treatments on my knee. And within 1 week, my knee was totally, completely healed.
Wow.
All the cartilage healed, all the connective tissue, everything totally healed. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
That was in April of 2018, or no, May of 2018 when that happened. When I did this healing on my knee, because it also does injuries, doesn't just do your organs. And within 1 week, I couldn't even think of doing a chair squat because I wanted to exercise, but I couldn't because my knee was so messed up. I can do deep squats as much as I want right now, jumping all around like a kid, twist my knee, do any kind of activities I like, and I've got a brand new knee that my body regenerated itself based upon 8 5-minute treatments.
Yep.
And so I was like, okay, that's a master key.
That's a master key. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
we have so much.
It also works if you're an athlete. If you do your treatment, if you do these treatments over your whole body, over all your major joints to start with shoulders, elbows, hips, knees, ankles, you don't get injured because it removes all the dead blood and the dead cells that build up over a lifetime, removes all the nano razor blades that you breathed in from all the pollution. It removes it completely from the outside in. And so these are the things that are super definitive that everyone has you deserve to know what this is. You know, you deserve to have a perfectly healthy body as the goal, and you're on that way. So I whipping around like a little kid. I found out how to fix my lower back perfectly. I had a very messed up lower back, no pain whatsoever now. I can bend and pick heavy stuff up. I don't even have to watch how I lift it up. And so, you know, torn rotator cuff on my right shoulder 3 different times in my life. Completely fixed it. It was like, okay. So, you know, these are the tools and the master keys that are to be shared. And the only way you can know this is true, Jean, is when you actually do the treatments. Then you find, oh, that is true. Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
Well, yeah, but that's the problem today with many biohacking techniques and technologies that are coming to the market. It's very difficult for people to be accessible enough to make them known enough in the market. And this is a bit what we're trying to do with first Biohackers magazine, but also with the Lifespanning platform is there's so much high-end, unknown protocol and technologies and let's call them biohack. And on the other side, there's so many people that are in need of that, but they don't know where to find them. They don't know how to get them or whatsoever. And this is what we're trying to do as well. We're trying to spread the knowledge and the information. But today we got about 5 million people around us looking at what we find, what we source, if it's legit or not. And this is, once again, something which we try to do in this industry that is overwhelmed by bullshit.
That's right. And actually, let me rephrase that for you. You're not trying to do it at all. You're actually doing it.
Yeah,
you're actually
it's true. Yeah.
It's happening right now, lifetime.
Thank you. It's happening. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Well, this has been absolutely fantastic. I love all the things you talked to us about today and shared. And we're all about inspiring people to take responsibility for themselves and share this with others and get these master keys out there and get the knowledge that you've accumulated by experience. You've been on the ground doing it.
Yep.
You know, there's a lot of people have a lot of theories, and that's all they are is theories. Right? But
it's true today, maybe not true tomorrow. So theories are theories, and you need facts, and facts are the proof of concept. So this is where we stand. Yeah.
Right. I would love to have you in other interviews in the future.
Thank you.
So we can keep sharing things. And this is part 1, and who knows how many parts it'll be, but I think it'll be an infinite number.
Yeah,
so I'd love to have you. Yeah, I'd love to have you back, Sean. And
anytime, and the same for you. And I appreciate like this invitation. It was really a blast for me discussing all these things. It's like I can tell we're on the same mission. We have the same goals, and the beauty of what we're doing is like we're giving everything for free.
Exactly. Freely given, freely given again, right? Yep. And much given, much required.
Thank
Big
you.
responsibility. And we're willing to step up to the plate.
I agree.
All right. Well, we'll wrap for now, and would love to connect very near in the near future
Absolutely.
and get this published out there to start serving people.
Thank you.
All right. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you again. Bye.